So hello everyone, it's me again, Iskeel. So today we just want to look at a particular video that I found interesting and I want to react to. That video points to some problems in Nigeria today, some problems in our society, among the citizenry, the government, national relations, and just the dynamic of everything. So it's a very, very interesting video. It's a video of someone reacting to something that happened on Instagram, I think. So um, basically, some Nigerians went into the comment section of a post talking about um, the loans, right, given to Nigeria. So these Nigerians were, reacting kind of negatively to it. Let's just put it like that, negatively. So yeah, she was reacting to the reactions and the comments, basically the entire fiasco. So let's see what she has to say, and then we'll react to it.
So according to reports, Nigerians flooded the comment section of the World Bank, telling them not to give loans to Nigeria. And eventually, the comment section was locked. And some of you genuinely think that you were fighting for Nigeria. No. You were displaying something more dangerous than anger: ignorance. Because tell me, when did international financial institutions start approving or denying loans based on comments in the comment section on social media? Or you think that global systems run like your WhatsApp argument groups? Now let me burst your bubble. If Nigeria qualifies for a loan, Nigeria will get that loan. And there is nothing you type in the comment sections that can change that. Let me remind you that there are processes, systems, negotiations, economic reviews, debt sustainability checks. The world does not run on emotional outrage. I say this all the time. And that's exactly why knowledge is power. Because many of us are fighting systems we do not understand. And I've also said this, that ignorance feels like injustice when you do not understand what you are looking at. Now, instead of understanding the systems, you are busy typing, trolling, dragging people in the comment section and on social media, calling it diplomacy, love for my country. Yet, the same you will be complaining about how Nigeria is perceived globally. You see, you come out publicly, online, screaming, "Do not help my country. Do not engage my country. Do not trust my country." And you think that that embarrassment ends with the politicians alone? No. You see, the elites, they will travel. They'll find a way. They connected. They will still have access. The powerful, they will survive. But the average Nigerians, most of whom are the ones typing and trolling people on social media, will bear the consequences. They will be the ones to bear the consequences. The same Nigerians will be the ones to cry about visa restrictions, global distrust, reduced opportunities, and international perception. You see, there's one hard truth we don't want to accept. You cannot build a nation where majority of the citizens are more committed to emotional outrage than intellectual understanding. By all means, demand accountability. Criticize your country. Criticize your government. But when your anger takes wisdom away from you, then you are not building the country. You are damaging it. At this point, I know that Nigeria urgently needs a knowledge revolution. Because this emotional reactions without understanding is becoming a national self-sabotage. You cannot fight systems you do not understand. You cannot demand change while being proudly uninformed. You cannot build a respected nation through public self-destruction. This tearing down of Nigeria must put a stop for Nigeria to grow.
Wow. So, we have seen the video, and I think I'm going to go like this. I will first talk about what Nigerians did, right? Where it came from, whether it's right or wrong, and then we'll look at her reaction, the problems that she stated, and the conclusions she came to. Now, what did Nigerians do? Now, it's all about the World Bank and the loan that was given to the Nigerian government recently. Now, we need to understand that the World Bank is not an actor of good faith. So, anybody that's trying to defend those actions, I suggest you do a deeper dive into the effects of what the World Bank does. And when you say Nigeria qualifies for a loan, what does qualify actually mean? I challenge you, the audience, to do some research on World Bank and the IMF and how they contribute largely to the underdevelopment of the global south. Let's put it that way. So basically, what they do is just, it's kind of like a predator picks up prey. So they look for, you have potential, right, for resources to be extracted, right? So we're gonna give you loans that you cannot pay back, right? Cannot realistically pay back. And then there are conditions to be fulfilled. There's a lot of interest, right? And then there are conditions to be fulfilled when you eventually can't pay the loan. What usually happens is basically foreign capitalists are allowed to come to the country to develop the resources, right? So that is usually, like, a lot of times, you need to forget about the way things are being put and the perception that people are trying to create around it. You also need to look at the effects, right? You need to match the effects of each of those factors, right? That's how you know that's how you use to bypass the propaganda in the world. Because there's lots of propaganda in the world. And that's something I've noticed a lot. So just say, you know what? Forget about the noise, forget about the grammar that everybody's doing, forget about the vocabulary here. What's the effect of what you are doing? What is the trend? And when you look at that, the World Bank is a good faith actor. So Nigeria getting a loan from the World Bank in the long run will never be a good thing. Right? So when we say that, is it right for Nigerians to protest? Yes, it's absolutely right for Nigerians to protest for better governance and for governments to look for alternative ways than going to the World Bank. We're not going to go to the mismanagement of the funds that is costing from the loan, but just the loan itself is never, has never, and will never be a good thing. Now, let's go on to our reaction. What are the problems that she has stated? Said Nigerians are, they think that they are very, basically, she said that Nigerians are emotional, right? And they are, they think the world runs. Okay, let's go to the emotional parts, right? So Nigerians are emotional about it. If the government is doing something wrong, Nigerians have every right to be emotional about it. Now, Nigerians are emotional about it. True. But then she said something again. She said, do they think that the world, our decisions in the world, do they think that decisions in the world are made by outrage and emotional outbursts? Do they think that the bureaucracies and the powerful people around the world listen to the outrage of the masses, right? to just the comment sections and they say, okay, oh yeah, comment section, sorry, so even protest, we'll get specifically to protest another day because they create avenue for people to think that they can effect change in the most ineffective manner. So you just coming out to say, hey, we don't like it. Yes, you have a right to do that. But does it make things change? She has a very, very good point there. And this is why I've never been a fan of this. Because at the end of the day, she also says something. You cannot change a system you don't understand. Right? Now, you cannot change a system you don't understand. Because you will not be able to understand what needs to be changed in that system. You will just be outraged by the result of it. You've been outraged by the result of this will never lead you to the root of the problems. So you being on the comment section will not change anything. You carrying cardboard on the road will not change anything. Decisions are being made by a few people on a table in a small room, in a small air conditioned room with pen and papers. So we need the youth of today need to understand that change. I've always said this. Change is not the cause. Change is the effect. So you really need to look for means that will effect change. And I'm sorry, you just shouting at a closed gate or a closed fence will not change things. Because those people behind the fence are protected from whatever will or whatever desire you might have. So you don't want Nigeria to take loan, well, look for other effective means and just the comment section. Because a lot of people will just feel like the comment section alone, people are is this psychological thing as human being. We want to feel like we are doing something, but most of the time we don't have the conviction to do the work. So people want to feel like they said something, right? So it's not be like, oh, when the loan has wrecked Nigeria, that's where were you? I said, oh, me now, I fought against it. I protested by commenting on Instagram. I'm sorry, it's not going to do anything. So the youth of today, not just Nigerians, the youth of today needs to learn that and understand what are the measures to take to effect change. Then she goes on to say she kind of has a connotation that she's kind of leaning into Nigerians being ignorant, which is true. But she kind of say that ignorance means that their outrage is not justified. Because Nigerians are outraged, right? And they are not really sure why they should be outraged. Doesn't mean that their outrage is not justified. So you cannot say because Nigerians are ignorant, therefore their conclusions are wrong. No, you investigate that conclusion with the right means to arrive at the right answer. And when you do that, I'm sorry, you will most certainly arrive at the answer that yes, these loans are not good in the long run for Nigeria. Now, another thing that she says or she tries to do is to insinuate that Nigerians are embarrassing the country. I think we need to move away from that notion of trying to prove to the rest of the world that we are like them, right? We don't have to, because at the end of the day, they will never see us the same, right? We are looked at as a backward society, not because of our um, self-esteem or our action. It's the way they see us, and we don't need to be chasing their perception of us. No, what we need to do is to develop ourselves from within and throw away all the bad faith actors. That is what we need to do, right? So why should we care about embarrassing? Do you understand? Because even these people, they've done forward things that Nigeria did. I'm sorry, you cannot tell me the IQ of the average American on the streets is so high. Sorry. What I might have noticed from my part of the world, I don't see much difference in them and Africans. I don't see much difference in the Europeans and Africans. What is the actual strength of his people in self-confidence and his ability to look for solutions to his problems? Like, their perception of us will never change. So they choose the way they want, where they need to see us, and that should never be our focus. Right? And also, she's criticizing Nigerians, but also Nigerians are also to blame in that. Because when she says that, it will look like she has a point. Because Nigerians themselves want to feel among, let me use that word, want to feel among that, oh, yeah, you need these Westerners to like us, you need them to see that. And they must not see us as barbaric Africans. They already do, right? You don't need to look for any sympathy or look for them to pick you. You don't need to look for them to pick you. Oh, don't be a pick me. Oh yeah, massa, I'm going to do this for you, please. So she then goes on to make an interesting point that these elites, their life will continue to run smoothly, as all your outrage will do nothing. And that is true. We need to look at our societies and understand everybody everybody's not equal. And it's not a good thing, but it is the reality. So when you accept that reality, right, you understand what needs to be done, you understand the right steps to take. Because if you think that, oh, these elites will have your back, and if you talk to them, they will listen. They won't listen because it just goes against every human nature for someone to be enjoying something that others can't enjoy, mm, and then think that the guys that are not enjoying it will convince them to share more. It just has never happened and will never happen. This now brings me to my concluding point. Right? What do I think about this whole thing? She mentioned that we need an intellectual revolution, and I 100% agree. You see, as I mentioned at the beginning of my reaction, that just because there is outrage, right? Just because there is protests or you have comments in the comment section, doesn't mean anything good will somehow from that. And we need to understand that. You see, they haven't because the powers of the world have recognized that forcing people to be a certain way is not the most effective way, right? You need to play with their minds. And how do they play with your mind? By making you feel like there are avenues for you to effect change, right? That they are already created. Don't worry. If things don't go right, you can just protest. If things don't go right, you can just type in the comment section. Internet is free. There is freedom of speech, right? Freedom of speech that affects no change is nothing. Like I said, change is not the cause. Change is the effect, right? And now, for us to really understand what we need to do, there needs to be an intellectual revolution. Because the average Nigerian is motivated by emotion and greed, right? Now, there is a silver lining here. Because Nigerians are outraged at the right things, even if it's not for the right reasons, but they're outraged at the right things, it is a step. Because previous generations were not like this. And it shows that there possibly could be a trend if that's directed somewhere. Outrage is not bad. Don't get me wrong. Outrage is not bad. And I think that's one thing that she got wrong. Outrage is not bad. See, outrage is good. But if it's directed in the right ways, if we can be able to effect change in the right ways, if we can be able to understand the system and work to modify and change what needs to be changed, work, not just to talk. See, so that is one thing that I 100% agree with. But also, like I said, it's a silver line. It's good that our generation is getting outraged because previous generations weren't like that. The millennials and the Gen Xs, they will have to answer to a lot of things because they oversaw the world come to this. They did, and they were numb for the most of it. They were, they were uh, not willing. They were not willing to do a lot of things that they should have done, and they let the world become this way. And we Gen Z, we are suffering in ways that they didn't even suffer. So I think that outrage is good if directed well, and would possibly might be in a turning point in this world. So whenever there is an intellectual revolution, outrage will be directed in the right way, to the right places, in the right manner, to use the right methods and effect change. Again, and I repeat, change is not a cause, change is the effect. And we need to create a demand for change, that will ultimately be the cause that will bring about the effect, which is change. So that is it for my reaction today. I think I'm going to get better and better as we go. Don't no, never mind my pacing today. Yeah. So we'll see. Have a nice day. Thank you. See you next time.